Hey, good morning, all. Today we have Pramod Gosavi. He's VC and well-known venture capitalist in the Bay Area, focusing on cybersecurity as well as with prime focus on AI. So, thanks, Pramod. Thanks for taking time to talk to us.
Thanks a lot for having me, Naveen.
Yeah. So, Pramod, for our viewers, if you can tell us what is your current role and what is the experience that you bring in your current portfolio.
Yeah, so my day job is I'm investing at Blumberg Capital, mostly investing in AI, a little bit of security these days. Yeah, talking to founders every day. Pretty bullish on the Gen AI wave right now. We see a lot of potential. Also, we see like real potential, like real benefits of the technology. So really, I would say like from an investor point of view, this is like one of the most exciting times because we are seeing a lot of very interesting companies.
Got it. So if you see, as you said, you have prime focus on Gen AI security. So, and we have seen, right, in couple of last couple of years, or maybe last 1 year or the growth or the buzz around Gen AI has been like tremendous. Like if you talk about Nvidia or talk anything, it's all revolving around Gen AI. So do you think this is not like a fluke, or this is not like a just some spike that is coming, or it's like real thing which is like a can be compared to internet revolution or industrial revolution or other type of revolutions that had been occurred in past?
Yeah, it seems real. So if you look at the AI wave, the first AI wave that happened before COVID, so most of the use cases and the technology was around computer vision, anomaly detection, but you needed data for that, right? So you see companies like Waymo spending billions of dollars collecting data, and then the companies that succeeded in that wave were companies that had data, like a lot of the banks, right? So they created these models. But this particular wave is different. It's more generative, and it's also generative as well as interpretive, right? So a lot of the focus has been on generative part last year with ChatGPT. Hey, you go and ask for any interesting like a lyrics or something, and it will tell you all of that. So that's more of a generative aspect, but there's been an interpretive aspect also, which is interpreting any media like text, video, audio, and making decisions on part of it. So that's where the biggest potential of the technology is in terms of making decisions. So in cybersecurity, one use case is looking at the log files, right? Like it would take humans hours and hours, or if you use a Splunk search, you're doing a keyword search. But guess what? You can just prompt an LLM saying, hey, tell me something that went wrong here, or compare these two log files and tell me what's the anomaly here or what's different here, and boom, you can debug everything much faster now compared to what you're doing before.
Got it. So gets really the productivity is like gets to the roof if we use Gen AI, right? So as we see, there is a lot of productivity enhancements or a lot of productivity. We can see a lot of increase in the productivity side, but it all comes with some type of security threats with the adoption of Gen AI. So what are your thoughts into that? What are the most significant security threats you are seeing with Gen AI adoption?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question?
Yeah. So what are the most significant security threats that you are seeing with the adoption of Gen AI?
So one is definitely the data leak, right? So a lot of this application, they sit on data. So when employees and users start asking questions, or also they are sharing data with the LLM, like for example, the developers are copy pasting code and saying, hey, can you tell me what's wrong with this code? It seems very innocuous, and that's the advantage of LLM. So why not do it, right? But for an organization, that's a IP risk, that's a security risk, right? So number one problem right now is data DLP, and there's another part of that is not very relevant is are you sharing any data with the LLM back for training? So with the air-gapped LLM, that's less of a concern. But if you do anything on ChatGPT, like all of that data actually gets used for training because these LLMs are still getting trained and they want to improve, right? So that's more of a shadow risk, but the main risk is exposing the data.
Got it. So what I understood is like the major concern that we are seeing in the enterprises right now is the data from the users or from their employees getting shared into the different GenAI applications they are using for increasing their productivity,
Yeah.
unknowingly or knowingly. Got it. So do you think that there are a lot of existing security solutions, right? Network security or endpoint security, a lot of solutions already there in the industry. We have like more close to 1,000 companies, security companies. So do you think those existing solutions are enough or are sufficient for the risks that GenAI adoption is bringing? As you said, more on data security. So maybe we can focus, let's say, on data security. Are those enough, or do we need more?
Yes and no. So I would say that in a few years, those products will be enough and they will be enhanced to take care of it. But short term, let's just say you're using Salesforce and the Salesforce suddenly comes up with an AI component, right? You might have had uh, a data security DLP solution, but is that data security DLP solution upgraded or does it understand AI? Because the traditional data DLP was very much regex and keywords, right? With LLMs, it's very live, right? So you like just think of like Salesforce data, right? Like it's very easy to protect Salesforce data because you know what it is, right? The problem with the LLM is you don't know what you don't know. So if even think of like this is a very good example, like Salesforce, you had a CASB protected and you had regex and you know exactly what the field is and you could protect it. Right now, if you take a Copilot on top of it and a sales guy asks like, hey, tell me what is the forecast for the next quarter, a lot of those fields are, they change a lot. They change depending on the prompt. Like how do we actually go and figure out, what part is leaking, what is not leaking? Does this guy even have access to that data? Right. So that is the part that is incremental for AI that did exist before. Having said that, like, will some of this CASBs and others existing solution extend there? I think they will extend there in due time, but right now there's a gap, and that's where a lot of startups like yours are addressing that space.
Got it. And what is the current challenge that you see in the current security solutions that is like stopping them to integrate this new aspect very fast? Like why they have to wait for a year or 2 year or so to adopt? Why can't they do right now? What is stopping them for doing that?
Yeah, mainly the ecosystem is changing very, very fast, both on the first party as well as third party. So if you look at how a large company does production, does implementation of a new product is, they go through a few months of customer feedback, then they will, I mean, a lot of large companies are shipping faster, but right now the fast is like come down to like days and weeks, right? And that's a problem. Like all of the SaaS guys want to publish features like every week. There's a race going on, right? So if they publish something on a Friday, is your security system updated, right? Like the large companies don't move on days, like they require weeks and months, right? And that's where the startups can literally go and even work proactively with these companies and ship it like within hours and days. And that is becoming very, very valuable right now, is just because this space is evolving so fast. I have a feeling I think it'll keep on evolving faster for the next few years. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So, apart from data security being an issue, we have seen a lot of issues regarding the ethical use of Gen AI in cybersecurity, like you can say toxicity, privacy, biasness, all those type of things. So, what do you think that how can is someone ensure that the organizations they are working with should be ethically using Gen AI? It means regarding it can be privacy, biasness, or whatever. So, what what type of things they should do in their organizations to have a people using unbiased Gen AI approaches or unbiased on the privacy side?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question. Then my thinking right now is you'll need multiple layers to fix it. So you need a like a red teaming layer all the time to to even find out what's wrong proactively before the users start using it, right? So you need a red teaming layer as a first defense. The second is like, what do you do with that red teaming? Let's just say your model is broken. Then you have a few options where you can do guardrails, where you can filter things out. But I don't think guardrails is going to fix everything. Otherwise, your guardrails is like soon is going to become like millions of lines. So that to me is good for like horizontal issues like hate and harm. Like, if you're a healthcare, you don't want like any word with abortion coming out. So you could do guardrails for those horizontal problems, but more of a semantic problems where somebody can go around some of these keywords and still get the data out of it. So you need another layer, which is fine tuning, where you go inside the model and you change the weights and nullify some of this weight so that some of this content doesn't come out no matter what the prompt is, right? And the third layer is really to go and just train the model on a very curated data set, right? So like same thing like pharma example, if you give only a data set that doesn't have abortion and have it stick to that, then you're cured. And another implementation of that is RAG, where you could force the LLM to just use the data that you have. But to me, I think RAG is good only when you have the document and the data. But I mean, that's one of the advantage of LLMs is it's also bringing knowledge from third-party sources. So you're not always updated. You might not have the documents. So I would say like a combination of all the way from data curation to RAG, fine-tuning guardrails. I think a good solution will have combination of these features.
Got it. So what I also understood is like because this market is so much evolving, this space is so much evolving every week, if not day. So, but at least there should be something that in your infrastructure which means maybe not covering you 100%, but let's say 60, 70%, 80% keeps covering you on the basic use cases, or so that you are at least safely enabling whatever Gen AI use cases you are doing. So rather than just covering everything, but it should be something. Otherwise, it will be like a big problem when you are doing basic mistakes where all the data is going out to the Gen AI applications. So, what type of advancements in the Gen AI are you most excited about? Like, and what do you think the security industry needs to take care in terms of safely enabling Gen AI adoption?
Yeah, so I'm very much interested in like I said, like the interpretive capability of LLMs. For that, actually, so there it's more of a problem of like access governance. Who's accessing what data, like which LLM is accessing what data. So it becomes more of a access problem to me. I feel like the actual DLP will go away eventually if you can fix the access governance. So because you want to use, so what that means is, so think of LLMs as being very smart and able to look at documents, interpret documents, and take actions, right? In that scenario, yes, there's a little bit of DLP, but think of this like machine to machine, right? And so the access governance becomes more important there. I mean, the other word for this is like agentic AI, right? So think of that as machines accessing documents. So the access is more important. The DLP aspect of it, that would eventually fade away because you're going to fix that problem to access governance and make sure that you just have the right data in place. So long term, I feel like the problem that really exists is more of a access governance and not so much on the data security.
Right.
Because my
So,
whole point is if you're feeding a bunch of data that has sensitive data and you don't want the LLM to look at it, just don't feed them.
got it. So with in recent, like last month only, we saw a couple of acquisitions around DSPM space. So do you think apart from DSPM, folks need this LLM security, or which is DSPM is a big part of data at rest, right? So where they are less looking at the data, where is the data sitting, and what type of sensitive information is in the data. Do you see there should be a way of data moving, right? And how the, as you said, how the services are accessing, how the agents are accessing the data. It's more on inline mode rather than data at rest. So do you think those inline mode things are also required rather than just knowing, okay, this is the data that's sitting there?
Yeah, so you need DSPM. Um, I would say, people already had data DSPM capabilities. So when the DSPM vendors moved on to AI security, I think what they're trying to do is very similar to like what we talked about. Large companies was a startup uh, moving very fast. So what's happening now is, so the traditional data security focus on like structured data like Snowflake and Databricks, right? So with AI, it's a lot of unstructured data. Uh, so some of the older companies are a little bit slower to move to that, and also the deployment and insertion is different. So a lot of these applications are still in development. Developers are using it, and the traditional solutions were focused on production, right? So there's a gap in the dev test and POC stage that the traditional guys are not doing, and that's where you see some of the DSPM companies coming in and extending the solution for AI, for SaaS and others. Again, long term, I think this is something the data security vendors have to do. So the so the so I wouldn't say the DSPM acquisitions are for AI security. If anything, it is for other reasons like DSPM. They're pretty good with like cloud assets and others. So if some of these companies are not very good at those assets, the acquisitions are happening for that.
Got it. So, like for a startup, cybersecurity startup like us, right? So, what advice would you give as a venture capitalist, that where should a startup with limited resources, but pretty fast adoption, pretty fast execution? So, what do you think that what we should focus on when we are focusing in terms of the Gen AI security space? Where should we focus? What should we do to make it like lucrative for the industry to adopt?
Yeah, it's just moving fast. I would say staying close to the threats. So the threats are, like I mentioned, SaaS applications enabling Gen AI features. So that's like a threat. So I would stay close to where the threats are, both in terms of organic development as well as using third-party apps, like both first-party as well as third-party apps, and securing them.
Got it.
Yeah, in the faster development time.
Got it. So a couple of questions that I thought that I will talk, because we mostly talk to the security experts or CISOs here in the cyber series. But here, Ajay, you are a venture capitalist. So a couple of questions just regarding that portfolio. So what specific qualities that you look for a founding team in Gen AI security sphere domain, or in basically normal any investment you do? What type of specific qualities that you look into those founders?
Yeah, in Gen AI security, we have been looking at the founding team having a couple of what you might say capabilities. One is, obviously coming from a security understanding, DLP and others. But we're also looking at teams where they have a meaningful Gen AI talent that it's not. I mean, ideally, it should be a CTO or a founding data scientist and not as a ML engineer because there's a lot of nuances. So when you have looked at teams that are mainly security, they think of this as a security problem and they don't see that as a data science problem. The nuance is very it's very small. Like the security teams think of this like a PII, PCI. I can figure out what it is, but they don't think that the problem is at a semantic layer, and they also don't think that this is a ongoing problem. So traditionally security is very much sort of policy driven. I put this policy, it's locked and loaded and everything goes. So that's not true for AI. Like every single AI prompt, it's a hazard, and it's going to be different than the previous prompt. So you need a solution that is living and breathing and adopting to that prompt rather than something that is just locked and loaded.
Got it. So, means we're looking at the industry right now, right? So, Gen AI, people are figuring out Gen AI, and people are trying to develop LLM applications and all. So, and the security is like coming behind that, right? So, in terms of the growth and milestones, let's say somebody, let's say startup like us, Swift Security starts have started working in this for last, I think, close to now 11 months. So, what are your expectations for growth and milestones in first year of, let's say, the company getting started, when we are working in a emerging field like Gen AI security, which is like continuously changing? Folks are not everybody knows these things pretty strongly. So what are expectation in terms of from the VC point of view, in terms of the growth and milestone in first year of your starting or inception?
So we are looking at the product development. So the traction might or might not be there. I'll come back to that. But I think what we are valuing the most is a team that is very proactive. Like I said, stay close to the threats, stay close to where the problems are, and proactively develop a solution to fix that. Because you don't want to be like a large company who waits for the requirement. You want to be ahead. So we are looking for that is stay ahead and be very proactive on the development side. Uh, so what we are valuing right now is the product. Like, so we want to see the product where it is, and we want to see a product that actually is 1 to 2 year ahead of where the adoption is. It is fine to be ahead of the adoption. The second thing is, like as I mentioned, traction, right? So you're ahead, the customer might or might not need it, but if there is interest, there's usage, that's another thing that we are looking for. The third one is obviously in terms of revenue, but we feel like the revenue will come when it comes, when the customers start seeing value and they start getting budget. But those three things are important, is like focus on product, focus on getting the users and customers engaged and giving them a solution that they needed, and then later.
Got it. So, and last question. So, what are your stance on the exit strategies in this Gen AI security space?
What study?
Your stand on the exit strategies. Let's say for a Gen AI security companies like us, what are the possible exit strategies do you think? Because it's fast evolving space. So, what do you think as a VC or as a means a big expert who knows on this Gen AI security and the cybersecurity space? So, what do you think are the kind of exit strategy with a startups like us, there are a couple of other startups which are in this space? What you foresee in near future is going to be that, like last time we talked, you said there can be a consolidation of powers coming together and bringing things up. So, what are your views on that?
Yes, I believe that there will be consolidation and there'll be a lot of exits in this space. So some companies like Palo Alto Networks and like Zscaler, they've been aggressive. They have announced products, right? But not all vendors are going to be that aggressive. They might wait. Like, recently, like Robust Intelligence got acquired, and what I heard is there were 3-4 different buyers interested in that asset, right? And one of the buyer, I don't see them developing anything in-house. They would rather pick something that's out there. So there will be a lot of exit. I think in this particular sector, just talking to somebody, is what has happened with AI is like the adoption is right there. So startups don't have the time to don't have the luxury to take time and build, right? So it's needed right now. So same thing with like one of the reason that 3 4 buyers were interested in that robust is because those companies are getting interest from their own customers. So their own customers are saying, hey, I need a solution right now. And that is pushing these companies to go either build it or they buy it, right? So in terms, long story short, in terms of the timing, I feel like if the exit doesn't happen in the next year and a half, probably it's not going to happen because a lot of large companies will build it internally since the demand is there right now and they have to fulfill that demand one way or the other.
Okay, so what I understood from your thing is like in next 1 year we will see a lot of exits or a lot of consolidation where big companies which are looking in need here will be buying startups, and then if this is not done in next 1 year, because then eventually in 18 months or so they'll be developing their own.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. Thanks, Pramod. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time today. It was really fun talking to you and knowing about from a VC point of view. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah.